Much for joining us here on TRT World. What's going on, Shai? I mean, was this expected to happen?
There was expected to be some resistance, but I guess people just assumed that someone like Kevin McCarthy, who'd worked his way up the ranks over the years in leadership in the House Republican caucus, would have had, as we say, his ducks in a row by the time they walked into the House chamber this week. If you recall, well, 2 years ago, it's now, I think, January 6th in Istanbul. So 2 years ago today was the insurrection against Congress. And the Republicans, led by Kevin McCarthy, never really held any of their own accountable for that insurrection. And some of the same people who were supportive of that insurrection and were supportive of overturning that presidential vote are now the ones who are standing up against Kevin McCarthy. Most of the Republicans want to move forward with their agenda for the 118th Congress, but these 2021 holdouts, they have no real incentive to give up, because worst case scenario for them is actually the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that the House of Representatives can't get any business transacted for the next 2 years, and they get to claim credit for that. Their purpose in being in Washington is not to pass laws. Their stated purpose is to shake things up. What better way to shake things up than to hold up anything in the House? Meanwhile, the Senate can proceed with some of its business, and of course the administration under President Biden is moving forward with its agenda as well.
Well, fascinating insights, Shai, but I mean, as I understand, the purpose of the Congress, especially when it comes to passing legislations, is to help the American public. So are you indicating that the Republican Party is actively trying to work against the American public?
This is not the Republican Party. This is less than 24 Republicans, and this is the most vulnerable point. This is the birthing of a new Congress. So the institution is at its most vulnerable right now, and they're taking advantage of that. As I said, most Republicans want to. I guess it's almost 200 Republican members of the House came to Washington expecting to get started with their agenda. Now, Democrats might say that their agenda is a destructive agenda, but it is a legislative agenda nonetheless. They want to do hearings, they want to pass laws, they want to undo some of the laws of the last 2 years, and they can't get any of that done. They also want to demonstrate to their base and to voters around the United States that they can get stuff done in Washington, because less than 2 years from now is another election for the House, for the Senate, and of course for the presidency.
Shai, for how much longer do you think this is going to continue like this?
I think a lot of it depends not on how much longer these 20 or so members are willing to hold out. I think it really depends on how much longer Kevin McCarthy wants to commit himself to being the candidate. I think eventually he's going to have to step aside, and it'll either be his number two, Steve Scalise, or it'll be somebody else from the Republican side. Maybe it'll be a compromise candidate who some Democrats would also vote for. He might try to cut a deal with some Democrats to give them more of an even membership on the different committees and some other concessions. But ultimately, I don't see these 20 members voting for Kevin McCarthy. So it's either going to be a deal with some Democrats, or Kevin McCarthy will step aside, and these 20 will have sent their message. They will have achieved what they wanted to, I think, for this round. How long will it take? It probably will be over this week. But these 20, and if the Democrats don't go along, it could continue indefinitely.
All right. Very interesting. Shai Franklin, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.